Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider, and I am here at the Campari Media Center at the Toronto International Film Festival. I want to give a huge thank you to Campari for being our lead sponsor. It allows us to cover both small, huge TV shows, movies, everything here at TIFF. I really say thank you, and it allows us to talk about Dust Bunny. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Lovely.
I really want to start with congratulations, and I guess I'm going to have to start looking at you because this is essentially like the feature debut, and you nailed it. Like, talk a little bit about, man, I have so many questions. No one will have seen it yet, even though the trailer just dropped online. How have you been describing it to people?
I describe it as a little girl who hires a hitman to kill the monster under her bed, and it's a fairy tale to inspire traumatized children and to speak to adults with traumatized children deep inside their hearts.
How much did you debate what you wanted to like direct as this film? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did you debate doing Dust Bunny? Was there another script you were thinking about? Like, maybe I want to do that one as the big one. You know what I mean?
This one, it was developed as a story for Amazing Stories, and it didn't make it through the process. And I thought this should be my directorial debut because it had all of the themes that I love, and it was about a little girl. And as a gay man, I identify as a little girl, so I thought I could speak to the character.
Sigourney, you've read a lot of scripts, and I'm just so curious, what was it like for you reading this for the first time, and what made you say, oh, I'm going to be doing this?
Well, I'd also met Bryan, and just thought there was something about him that was so unique in terms of his vision, and so I was so astonished by the originality of what is a really great, to me, instant classic of a children's fairy tale. And I also was very inspired by the character of Aurora, who has been through some tough times, but, you know, nothing stops her. You know, she's, you know, gets a paddle and pushes herself around the apartment on a hippopotamus with wheels so she doesn't have to touch the floor, which is the signal to the monster to eat. So I was fascinated by the world of it, by the ambition of it and the originality of it. And also my character is, I would say a nice word for it would be complex and surprising. And
That's a good C word.
Yes.
Thank you. And so I thought it would be, I thought it was a tough role, but I'm drawn to that.
I just want to take a pause. I normally don't do this, but I got to take a pause in the interview just to say, holy F, I am such a huge fan of your work, and I am so happy that you're in the studio today.
Thank you so much. I am very happy too.
I'm so sincere. I think it's mostly for your work in Annie Hall as standing outside as Alvy Singer's date. I think that's pretty much the performance that pulled me in.
Yes, and that was the high point for me.
Right. You've done, actually, being serious, you've done so many amazing roles. I love Annie Hall. What do you remember? I'm sorry for pausing this, but what do you remember about making Annie Hall? Because for people that don't realize, it really came together in the edit, or like it was not what it was a lot going on behind the scenes on that one.
Well, I was actually offered the bigger role of the girl that he tries to resuscitate that relationship with, the girl who has no sense of humor about the lobsters. And in fact, it was a 3-week role, and I was doing a show off Broadway that I'd co-written with my friend Christopher Durang, and I turned it down because I couldn't leave the show. We are opening off Broadway, from off Broadway to off Broadway, and he was my best friend, and so my walk-on in Annie Hall is a little, a consolation prize because I couldn't do the bigger role, which was much cut down because I wasn't doing it.
Thank you for indulging me.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I thought you did such a great job with in this film is you didn't have Marvel money to make this movie. And what you've managed to do is sort of build this unique world with the architecture and the building. And let's talk a little bit about that. Just like the world building that you were able to accomplish on a tighter budget.
We had a wonderful location scout in Hungary, in Budapest, named Marci Belant, and he found us these extraordinary places that people hadn't shot in. So the main building is the Hungarian treasury that was just refurbished, and we were the first ones to shoot in there. So he uncovered all of these gems, and it's kind of an unsung role that we don't get to celebrate location scouts as much as we should. But when you have somebody like Marcy finding these treasures, we get to build our world around things that exist, which makes it easier and more affordable, of course.
Sure, but also one of the things is that you have some really cool shots in the movie. And so I'm just so curious, like, how did you figure out where and when to deploy like additional resources in a moment or a scene to maximize what you had? Do you know what I mean? Because everything that people don't realize, when you want to set up a cool shot, that maybe takes an extra hour, and that impacts the ability to get 5 takes instead of 2 takes. Like, you have to pull and push.
Well, we had wonderful resources in our fantastic cinematographer, Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman is now shooting films. Nicole Whitaker. And our key grip on the film, we called him Techno Fairy. His name was Fairy. And every morning he would ask me how long I wanted the crane, because we only had a crane a couple of days that we could afford. So every morning he would ask me, I'd say 60 feet, and he would start strapping together scaffolding with belts and build me a 60-foot crane or a 50-foot crane or a 30-foot crane every morning. So we had that level of dedication of the local craftsmen who believed in the movie and wanted to go the extra mile. So it really is about surrounding yourself with people who love the movie as much as you do.
I've never seen a director wrangle a not optimum situation with money and time into something as successful as Bryan did with Dust Bunny, I have to say, and with such grace and patience, and it's all going to get done. I'm not going to worry about it. I was really impressed.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it looks, I know it looks bigger than the budget you had. And
Definitely.
And that, again, congratulations. So I love talking about editing. I apologize. It's another Bryan question. But I'm so curious, because oftentimes films can go through really dramatic changes in the edit. And I'm curious, how did this possibly change in the editing room in ways you didn't expect? And let's start with that.
It really helps to work with a wonderful editor. I worked with Lisa Lassick on this film, who I had worked with for the first time on Wonderfalls and then on Pushing Daisies. So I had worked with her on a couple of television shows, and I loved being in the room with her. And we didn't have an editor while we were filming. So I was going through dailies every day going, do we have everything? Because I didn't have anybody there that could tell me. And Lisa was such a resource with all of her experience. There's so much that I learned about post on a movie, which is so completely different in post and television. And Lisa was such an ally and a whisperer, and she would tell me which things I should be upset about and which things I should push back against and which things to let go. So there was a lot of handling by people that I love and trusted to help me. And that was probably the biggest word of advice, is surround yourself with people that you trust and love and that support you, and listen to them.
Sigourney, I'm so curious. You obviously are on set. You're seeing what you guys are producing, building. But what was it like for you actually seeing the finished film for the first time and seeing like what he had put together? You know what I mean? Because it's impressive.
It's so impressive. You're really taken into, Aurora's world. And to me, I was always a great fan and friend of Maurice Sendak. It has that wildness to it. It has that, the impossible happening all the time. And it keeps escaping its boundaries as a kid's movie or just a regular movie. Amazing things happen in this movie. And so I loved it on screen, but seeing it, I loved it on the page, but seeing it with all the people that Bryan worked with, like Olivier, our costume designer. the whole thing kind of exploded, and it's just a fabulous movie, and I really think it's a classic.
Just on the subject of costumes, the person that we were going to have, the schedule changed, and Sigourney was like, I got people for you.
Yeah.
And
I always have people for costumes.
the best hire on the movie, Olivier and Catherine, who did all of Sigourney's costumes, who's worked with her since Gorillas in the Mist, having these people with this history with Sigourney and who became new friends. It really was the people that I hadn't worked with before became new friends in a way that, like, Olivier was a lifesaver. He made it his mission to make me laugh every day, and he did, and he's filthy. He's filthy and hilarious.
I have so many specifics I want to get into, but it'll be closer to when the movie is actually coming out, or when you know what I mean. But before, I'm almost out of time. Something I've been doing with everyone who's coming in is called Get to Know Your TIFF Attendee. These are very softball questions. Here we go. What is your favorite thing to cook?
I like pancakes. I make a good pancake.
Moussaka?
What is your favorite food?
Sushi.
Not sushi.
What's the last movie, TV show, or book that you've read that you'd really like to recommend?
Alien Earth. Noah Hawley.
If you don't mind, I was actually curious. What was it, a show that you were looking forward to, and what's been your reaction thus far?
Well, I admire Noah's work, Fargo, and I was curious to see what he would do with this world. And what I admire about it is it's not alien-centric. It is about what world we will be living in 100 years. And I think the scope of it is so much bigger than an alien, project. Fascinating, much more about our world, what's going to be happening to it, what's going to be important, the role of greed. It just exploded some of the themes that have always been part of the Alien series. And I think it's beautifully cast and beautifully done. I can't believe it's television, frankly.
Did they send you all the episodes, or are you watching it yourself, like on streaming?
I'm watching it like a real person. I have to make a date with my husband because I don't want to see it by myself in case one of those things comes out of the screen. So we have to set it up. So I'm behind seeing it, but the ones I've seen are fascinating.
Thank you.
I would say particularly Andor episode 8 is perhaps the most important television episode.
Season 2
of the year. Because it is all about now what we are experiencing as people living on the continent of America and how we need to gird ourselves for the future.
I think Andor, both seasons, are they're masterpieces, and they are the best Star Wars since 1980. And if you take the Star Wars out of it, it's still incredible television. I cannot say enough amazing things about what Tony Gilroy and his brothers and everybody else who's working on it or worked on it.
But it won't be as good as The Mandalorian, just letting you know.
I haven't seen The Mandalorian and Grogu yet, so
Nobody has.
Exactly. So it obviously could be better than Andor, but I'm going to be honest, and I say this to you with love. I'm not sure how. Andor is
It's a different world.
It's ready, like it's a completely different thing, and Andor is dealing with deadly serious stuff, and The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be a fun time at the movies.
Well, let's see, shall we? I'm sure it will be at least that.
Right.
And it will have Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, and also don't uncount these Avatar movies. I've heard they're kind of popular. I seem to like them. This James Cameron he's a decent filmmaker,
He's getting better.
Yeah, the technology that he plays with is ungodly. And I mean it seriously, like what he does with technology and movies and storytelling, he is a singular auteur and a visionary, and I can only say so many positive things.
Well, the reason to me that I work with him is the stories and the themes and how relevant they are to this universe. Yes, even though they look blue and the people have, tails and ears. It's really about the heartbreaking stories about family and everything that keeps me going when I read it. So I have to keep turning the pages. They're so good.
Have you read the scripts for 4 and 5? Like, do you know everything, or do you?
And they're so good.
Because
so much gets paid off in the most surprising ways.
I was told that some of the actors involved have told me that like some of it gets pretty like, I can't believe we're making this. Like, it's incredible.
I feel that way every day, though, working on this series. I can't believe we're making a movie that's this ambitious and this, such a, frankly, just an honor to. People don't realize, I'm sorry, I'm not talking about ghosts. People don't realize how fundamental the work is. They think that we're voicing these characters or that it's a cartoon. When I get on the set of an Avatar film, I'm in a black suit, but it's like a very early theater rehearsal where you just give it all you've got. And it's such fundamental acting work with huge themes and so much at stake. And it's very hard to find that anywhere else, Listen,
I could keep going, but otherwise I'm going to get killed by someone right there. There's like a dart. I'm just going to say, both of you, thank you for coming in. I really can't wait for the world to see the movie. And we will talk much more once the movie is closer to release / out, where we can talk about the specifics, like the monster and the design and so many other things, which I didn't want to spoil today.
And my character.
And possibly your character. But if you're at our screening, because we will do a screening for this one. But listen, thank you, and have an amazing midnight screening tonight.
Thank you, Steve.